Barron Trump had always been fascinated by the bustling streets of New York City. Despite his privileged upbringing, he found solace in walking through the vibrant chaos, observing life from a distance. From the iconic yellow taxis honking impatiently to the street performers pouring their hearts into their art, every detail seemed alive with stories. Yet, among the vibrancy, shadows loomed, stories of struggle and despair that often went unnoticed. One chilly November evening, as the city lights flickered against the encroaching darkness, Barron found himself wandering through a quieter corner of Manhattan. It was the kind of place where the hum of the city softened, giving way to the whispers of solitude. Amidst the shadows, a man sat hunched over on a piece of cardboard. His sign read, "Hungry and homeless. Please help." The man, who appeared to be in his late 40s, was wrapped in a tattered coat that barely shielded him from the biting wind. His face was weathered, each line telling a tale of hardship. His hollow eyes stared blankly ahead, as though he had long since stopped expecting kindness from the world. Something about him made Barron stop in his tracks. While the world rushed past, heads turned away in avoidance, Barron felt a pull he couldn't ignore. For a moment he hesitated, unsure of what to do. But then, summoning his courage, he stepped forward. "Hey," Barron said softly, his voice carrying a warmth that was almost startling in the cold night. "Are you okay?" The man looked up, his eyes narrowing in suspicion before softening at the sight of Barron's genuine concern. "Just trying to get by," he muttered, his voice rough from disuse. "Name's Tom." Barron crouched down to meet Tom's gaze. "Tom, can I get you something to eat? There's a diner around the corner." For a moment, Tom hesitated, his pride wrestling with his hunger. But hunger won out, and he nodded. Together they walked to the diner, an unlikely pair that drew curious glances from those they passed. Barron ignored the looks, focused entirely on Tom. The warmth of the diner was a stark contrast to the cold outside. As they sat at a small booth, Barron ordered a hearty meal for Tom, a steaming bowl of soup, a sandwich, and a cup of coffee. As the food arrived, Tom's eyes lit up with gratitude, and he ate slowly, savoring each bite. "So Tom," Barron began after a while, "how did you end up here?" Tom paused, setting down his spoon. "It's a long story," he said with a sigh. "I used to have a good job, a home, a family. But then, things fell apart, lost my job, couldn't keep up with the bills. My wife left, took my daughter with her. It's been downhill ever since." Barron listened intently, his heart aching for the man before him. Despite his own insulated life, he had always been aware of the world's inequalities. But this, sitting across from Tom, hearing his story firsthand, made it real in a way he hadn't experienced before. "I'm sorry you've had to go through that," Barron said earnestly. "But you don't have to face it alone." Tom looked up, a flicker of hope crossing his face. "What do you mean?" "I want to help you," Barron said. "Let's start small. We'll get you some clothes, a place to stay for a while, and then we'll figure out the next steps together." Tom's voice trembled as he replied, "Why would you do that for me? You don't even know me." Barron smiled, his eyes kind. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, and I believe in paying it forward." As they left the diner, Tom walking with a steadier step, and Barron brimming with determination, neither of them could have imagined the journey ahead. For Barron, it was the beginning of a mission, one that would challenge him, change him, and ultimately reaffirm his faith in the power of compassion. Barron knew that helping Tom wouldn't be easy. The next morning, he contacted a trusted friend, Samantha Sam Clark, who worked for a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting the homeless. Sam was skeptical but intrigued when Barron explained the situation. "You're serious about this?" Sam asked, raising an eyebrow. "Completely," Barron replied. "Tom needs a fresh start, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Together, they devised a plan. First, they secured temporary housing for Tom at a local shelter. It wasn't the most comfortable place, but it was warm and safe. Next, they took him shopping for clothes and essential items. Tom was hesitant at first, embarrassed by the attention, but Barron's genuine encouragement eased his apprehension. As Tom walked out of the store with a set of clean clothes and sturdy shoes, he looked like a new man, his confidence visibly restored. The next hurdle was employment. Tom had been out of the workforce for years, and his self-esteem had taken a significant hit. "What if they don't want me?" he asked one evening as they worked on his resume. Then we try again, Barron said firmly. The right opportunity is out there. We just have to find it. Barron leveraged his connections, arranging interviews and calling in favors. Tom faced rejection after rejection, each one a blow to his fragile confidence. But each evening, Barron and Sam were there, bolstering his spirits. They practiced mock interviews, shared tips, and reminded him of his strengths. Slowly but surely, Tom began to believe in himself again. Finally, a breakthrough came. A local community center offered Tom a position as a maintenance worker. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady work, and the team welcomed him warmly. For the first time in years, Tom felt a sense of purpose. As Tom settled into his new job, Barron and Sam encouraged him to focus on his long-term goals. They helped him open a bank account and create a budget. Tom began saving money, setting aside a small portion of each paycheck for the future. He also started attending counseling sessions at Sam's nonprofit, confronting the emotional wounds that had haunted him for so long. Weeks turned into months, and Tom's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. He grew stronger, more confident, and more hopeful with each passing day. Barron and Sam were there every step of the way, celebrating his victories and supporting him through his setbacks. One evening, as they gathered for dinner, Tom looked around the table, his eyes brimming with gratitude. "I don't know where I'd be without you two," he said. "You've given me more than a second chance. You've given me my life back." Barron smiled. "You're the one who put in the hard work, Tom. We just gave you a little push." Tom's voice trembled as he replied, "I'll never be able to repay you." "You don't have to," Barron said. "Just promise me one thing." "Anything," Tom said. "Pay it forward," Barron said. "When you see someone who needs help, do for them what we did for you." Tom nodded, a determined glint in his eye. "I promise." As Barron left that evening, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of fulfillment. Helping Tom had been one of the most challenging yet rewarding experiences of his life. And he knew that this was only the beginning of something much bigger. Despite his progress, Tom still carried the weight of his estranged family. He hadn't seen his daughter, Emily, in years, and the guilt consumed him. Barron encouraged him to reach out. "What's the worst that could happen?" Barron asked. "She might not want to see me," Tom admitted. "I wasn't there for her when she needed me." "But what if she does?" Sam countered. "You'll never know unless you try." With their support, Tom wrote Emily a heartfelt letter, apologizing for his mistakes and expressing his desire to reconnect. Days turned into weeks with no response, and Tom began to lose hope. Then, one afternoon, his phone rang. "Dad?" a tentative voice asked. Tom's heart raced. "Emily? I got your letter," she said. "Can we meet?" The meeting took place at a small cafe on the edge of the city. Tom arrived early, his nerves getting the better of him. He fidgeted with the napkin in his hands, rehearsing what he might say. When Emily walked in, her resemblance to her late mother was striking, but her eyes, those were all Tom's, brimming with a mix of caution and curiosity. "Hi, Dad," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Hi, Emily," Tom replied, standing awkwardly before pulling out a chair for her. "Thank you for meeting me." The conversation began hesitantly, with Emily asking about his life and how he had ended up in his current situation. Tom answered honestly, not shying away from the painful truths. He told her about the mistakes he'd made, the job he lost, and the spiral that followed. But he also shared the story of his recovery, crediting Barron and Sam for helping him get back on his feet. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you," Tom said, his voice breaking. "I know I can't change the past, but I want to be part of your future, if you'll let me." Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly brushed them away. "I've been angry with you for a long time," she admitted, "but I've also missed you." That simple admission was a turning point. They began to talk more freely, reminiscing about the good times they had shared before everything fell apart. Emily spoke about her own life, her studies, her job, and her dreams for the future. By the end of the meeting, they had agreed to take things one step at a time, starting with regular phone calls and occasional visits. For Tom, the reunion with Emily was a moment of profound healing. It was a chance to mend the most broken part of his life and to prove to himself that redemption was possible. For Barron, who had quietly observed the journey from the sidelines, it was a testament to the ripple effect of kindness. As Tom's life flourished, he became an active volunteer at the community center, mentoring others who were facing homelessness. Inspired by Barron's kindness, he dedicated himself to helping those in need. Tom's days were now filled with purpose. At the community center, he organized workshops on financial literacy and basic job skills. He shared his own experiences, showing others that it was possible to rebuild their lives. His candidness and warmth resonated deeply with the people he helped, many of whom had lost faith in the possibility of change. One day, Tom approached Barron with an idea. "What if we started a program to help people like me? A real initiative where we can address both immediate needs and long-term solutions." Barron's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant, Tom. We'll need a plan, funding, and people to believe in it. But I think we can do it." Together with Sam, they worked tirelessly to bring the idea to life. The Second Chances Initiative was born, a comprehensive program offering temporary shelter, counseling, vocational training, and support networks for individuals facing homelessness. They began with a small team, but their passion attracted attention. Local businesses, philanthropists, and even city officials reached out, offering their support. Barron and Tom became a dynamic duo, attending meetings, fundraising events, and brainstorming sessions. Tom's heartfelt story became the centerpiece of their campaign, demonstrating the transformative power of empathy and opportunity. At the program's launch event, Tom stood before an audience of supporters, his voice steady and strong. "A little over a year ago, I was sitting on the street with nothing but the clothes on my back and a sign asking for help," he began. "Then Barron Trump saw me. Really saw me. He didn't just give me a meal or spare change, he gave me hope. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And now, with the Second Chances Initiative, we want to extend that same belief to others." The audience erupted into applause, many moved to tears by Tom's words. Barron, watching from the sidelines, felt an overwhelming sense of pride. This was more than a success story, it was the beginning of a movement. As the initiative grew, so did its impact. Shelters and workshops sprang up across the city, each one a sanctuary for those seeking a fresh start. Stories of triumph emerged, from single mothers finding stable jobs to veterans overcoming PTSD and addiction. Each success story reinforced their mission and attracted more resources, creating a cycle of positive change. For Barron, the experience was profoundly transformative. He had always understood the privilege of his position, but now saw how much power he had to effect meaningful change. Through Tom's journey, he learned the value of humility, perseverance, and the interconnectedness of humanity. Months later, as Barron walked through the same streets where he had first met Tom, he noticed another man sitting with a cardboard sign. This time, it was Tom who approached the man, offering a warm smile and a helping hand. Barron watched from a distance, his heart swelling with pride. The ripple effect of kindness was in motion, and it showed no signs of stopping.